Welcome guys to this incredible episode of All Things Health, where we're covering part 2 of childhood illnesses, vaccines and autoimmunity. So I just wanted to commence guys by first of all saying there can be obviously people or institutions that might not agree or get upset by the things I have spoken, but they haven't come from myself. They've come from well-known authors such as Cohen Wilson, MD, in the book Childhood Illnesses, Vaccines and Autoimmunity. Also, Humphrey Suzanne and Roman Bischnik, Dissolving Illusions, Disease, Vaccines and Forgotten History, but also a book by Miller Neal, which he has a review of 400 important scientific studies of vaccines summarized for parents and researchers. So these things, obviously, these people, either online or in the books, had to go through all the legal proceedings to be able to establish this information. Otherwise, they wouldn't have allowed to be, and they also would be in trouble with so-called authorities. So what I am speaking is from them. I have great admiration for these people, and I'm bringing it out in podcasts so people can hear it, visualize it and get a better understanding, so then the information can get across to people, to parents, to really help them understand what is and what is not. So what are we going to go through in the talk? And a friend of mine suggested this, which I think is a very good idea. A brief summary before we start. We're going to cover at the beginning of this what our immune system does, even though I spoke about it in part 1. Just a quick summary so then you've got refreshed in your minds. Then also we're going to go through past cases of things like polio and also measles. Then we're going to go through vaccines, how they work with our bodies, and also what's in the vaccines. So I just wanted to bring this up so at least you've got a structure and you know what we're looking at as we're going ahead. So as we got that out of the way now, guys, I obviously want to say welcome so much. I'm so looking forward to this podcast. It is such an important podcast for all people on the planet, for all parents and anyone who has children, and obviously everyone who loves their children. Doesn't matter if it's your own or your niece or your nephew or your grandchild. So let's go through quickly again our immune system. Our immune system was always triggered by our tonsils. As it gets pathogens and viruses, it connects with the tonsils that act like a radar. It pulls it into the system. And then, just like the case of chickenpox, what is the first part of our immune system? We have 2 parts that make one immune system. Part 1 is white blood cells. It's a cell-activated immune response. So as it comes in, the white blood cells rush to the site and then they get rid of what's not needed through coughing, through rashes as in chickenpox, expelling it through the skin, through fevers, sweating it out, sneezing and blowing your nose. Part 2, which makes up the complete, it's the humoral immune system. This is when it gets passed through, the body recognizes it, takes an imprint of it, and creates antibodies by attaching certain proteins to the invader, so then it deploys it and gets rid of it, but at the same time helps read it, so then it can have benefits not only for then, but for in the future to protect the individual or individuals, as in the case of a mother when she has her babies. So this is how our immune system works, guys. Beautiful, simple. The part A and the part B work together, and it's such an easy way to understand it now. So why in the past and up to this date, through timelines, through the 40s, the early 1900s up to now, we have a distorted view, which unfortunately has caused us to be, and I had, as in my first part, half my face shaved, the other half not, and as you can see today, guys, fully shaved. Means the complete story is coming out. Why is it important to understand our past? This is what's imprinted in our minds and now getting distorted as time's going on, but the echo was strong enough to keep those impressions going. So the people who are sitting on the opposite side, the unshaved side, they're still going, we heard stories of polio. We heard stories of measles. They were huge. Okay, let's go through it. Polio, and I'll get a quick overview because sometimes I need to refresh myself. 1940s to 1955. It's when it broke out on big levels. And it broke out in the United States. So it broke out, and then this is why I'm bringing these statistics and illustrations up, so then you can go, there's something not right here. Now, these areas that were affected were major cities, mostly along the seaside. There were Boston and Philadelphia, also Coney Island, and inland and little rural areas were left alone. And you're going, okay, let's just think about this rationally. If it is a virus, why is the virus specific to only certain areas and leaving other areas alone? A virus doesn't care of location. It just spreads to everywhere and anywhere. So, okay, big outbreak, polio. The authorities come in and they go, we've created the vaccine for polio to get rid of this virus. Okay, and they start jabbing everyone. But reporters and media behind the scenes were looking closely at things, great individuals who like, this is not making sense. Why only these areas? So they started putting two and two together, and what they started noticing, the people who were getting polio were consumers of candy. In America, in those days and today, loved their sweets and had candy stores. So they were seeing most of the people were the people getting candy on regular occasions. So they just said, hey guys, let's just stay away from sweets and sugar. And the people go, that doesn't make any sense, guys. We've been having sugar forever. You're trying to tell us sugar's something wrong with it now. They go, we're just noticing that and polio are coming together. Please stay away from sugar. And they're like, oh, no, not really. And anyway, the vaccines are going through and they're giving everyone this vaccine. What was going on behind the scenes? What was really happening with sugar at that time? Sugar was being imported from Cuba and Hawaii and then getting processed in these areas along the coastline. So you're putting a connection together. Sugar from different regions coming in, getting processed in those areas with the huge outbreak. And you go, that's different. What happened in those times, especially in that era? They had a lot of issues with weeds growing with sugarcane. So the growers and the owners were getting sick of it because the harvesters didn't want to go and get rid of the weeds anymore because they were getting cut to shreds by the sugarcane quite badly. So they were on strike all the time and they said, we want more money. And this was causing issues with getting the sugarcane to where it needed to be sold to make money. And they're like, we're sick of it. There has to be a solution. So the grower in Hawaii, he came up with a solution. He started looking at things and chemicals and what can I do? And he came up with a solution he made that he could spray on the sugarcane. It worked. It got rid of the weeds, guys, and it left the sugarcane really healthy. And he's like, I've done it. So they just kept it going, got rid of that issue. They could grow better. Workers weren't getting injured, no money and delay in strikes and so forth. What was this that he created? He created arsenic. Arsenic is highly toxic. The sugarcane was able to withstand it, being a different plant, but the weeds weren't. So it looked like success. Do you know what happens when you have arsenic in your system? It's a high toxin. So the symptoms they were seeing that they thought was a virus wasn't a virus, guys. How it works, they're ingesting it. It breaks down the stomach in the protective layer on the outside of the stomach, the villi, which is like the grass and the trees of of Mother Nature that stops any chemicals seeping down to the land below. And it was destroying that and letting that chemical, that high toxin, go straight into the bloodstream. Through the bloodstream, it's traveling up the spinal column, and it was creating what they thought was a virus called iron lungs. That was a symptom. The poor people couldn't breathe at all, and it just kind of froze, and just their breathing just was shot. And another thing that was happening was paralysis. It had nothing to do with a virus, so I'm just clearing it up. Polio wasn't a virus, guys. It was actually a chemical and a toxin brought on by people and individuals and then ingested, and that's why it was outbreaking in those areas. So let's keep that in mind, guys. So that might be something that people still today go, oh, do you remember the big polio outbreak? Yeah, the vaccine, they came in and saved everyone. So why did the numbers decrease? People started listening. They actually told them, hey, this is what's happening. Please stop ingesting the sugar and the candy. And they said, yeah, that makes sense. So at the same time, and then as the vaccines were brought in, it looked like the vaccine saved the day. It's not a virus. It's a chemical that's highly toxic. And the media and so forth, individuals brought out now information, so the people stopped it, and the case got better very quickly. Another great time frame was early 2000s in Africa, guys, and I covered it a little bit, but I didn't say where. In my first talk, it was the measles in Africa. So why did in the early 2000s and in other little parts did the measles really break out and started killing lots of children and elderly and so forth? What happened, guys, is the world debt of big countries that don't want to relinquish small countries under their debt from 1800s, 1900s and so forth, including what the Queen and obviously England has with Africa and other countries. So they're constantly in so much debt trying just to pay that off to move forward, that malnutrition is one of the biggest problems on the planet. And it's not because they can't provide for themselves, it's because they're just in so much debt, there's no money for their own country to look after their people. When you have malnutrition, the body runs very, very poorly and can't have the things, especially what's needed in measles, vitamin A, from simple things as carrots, as cod oil, which then allows the measles to run its course and do its benefit and have a long life immunity. So this is what's happened. And then they come in with obviously the measles vaccines, but also other aids are coming in and helping with nutrition. Hey, you guys are starving, let's get you some good food and so forth. So as the same timeline as the vaccines and all this is coming into place, because it makes sense, they're starving at the same time. No use just jabbing them and they're starving and like, oh, we're starving. So let's get them food, let's get them vitamins and so forth. It dissipates and they go, the vaccines have saved it. But what was going on with studies with real scientists behind the scenes at that time, guys? They were checking the proper way, like a 10-year pro rata. If the vaccines are safe, at least in 10 years, everything should look well. But what was happening behind the scenes, guys, was deaths unrelated to anything, undue deaths. Just people dropping off left, right and centre, no explanation. So you've got to think, guys, they started giving the measles vaccines in massive numbers. Seemed like the vaccine was curing everything, but it had nothing to do with that. It was a deficiency in vitamin A, which is a crucial point to get through the measles. And deaths started occurring behind the scenes, but it wasn't spoken about. So this is what's been in everyone's minds, especially in other cases. It's always brought on by, guys, environmental factors behind the scenes, then affects our bodies greatly, our immune system, attacks us, weakens our immune system, and as in the case of polio, it's a high toxin that our body cannot have inside itself, and it had nothing to do with a virus, and that's why people were getting the iron lung and paralysis and dying. This is the case throughout all the world when outbreaks happen. Nothing to do with the virus, because as I spoke to you guys, Mother Nature was never out to get us. Otherwise, as I said, we wouldn't have air to breathe, water to drink and swim in. We wouldn't have these wonderful foods, herbs that come out in different times of the year to help us through winter, through summer, spring and autumn, dandelion, you name it, herbs, mushrooms. As I was saying, guys, before I got interrupted due to lighting in my own place, and unfortunately, but we can't even escape it down here, noise from construction and construction in the building. So I apologise if you hear jackhammers and so forth. It's not what was intended, guys, but getting this information across is something that I really want to express, because I love all people and I love children, and I don't want to see what I've been seeing, misinformation, be portrayed anymore, so people can understand the full understanding and have a clearer choice of what to do and what not to do anymore, once and for all. So as I was saying, as we're finishing up, all the great things in nature, including mushrooms, help our bodies at the right seasons, be summer, winter, autumn and spring, get through those seasons, get through hot and cold, but also get through anything nature designed to give us as chickenpox and measles with the right things to help our bodies process it, get longevity and move forward, guys. Simple as that, guys. Nature was never out to get us, as I brought out through different things happening in different areas due to toxins and environmental factors, which then complicate things and make it look like nature was out to get us, or the way it was portrayed, guys. So, how do vaccines work? How were they always originally designed to be? They are designed to be injected into the body, which then goes straight to the second part of our immune system, the humoral, which then forms antibodies, and the antibodies then obviously send the right proteins, attach itself and deploy it. So do vaccines work in the same way? Yes, obviously they go in. They go in the second way. Are they what is needed by us and by nature and how our bodies are built? The first thing with this issue is the body then can't successfully spit it out because it didn't come through the first line, through the tonsils, activate the cell-mediated response, which is the white blood cells, which then brings on the first part of the immune system to cough, to have fevers and rashes and sneezing, to get rid of it and expel it off the body. So let's think of that. You put something in the second part, the body goes, how did you even get here? Now, if it resembled nature, then somehow the body, even though it bypassed, would go, I recognise you, yeah. Don't know how you got here, because you bypassed the natural system, but I'll take you on board. This is not what happened from the start, guys. Scientists in those days who created the vaccine soon realised the body was A, too intelligent, and B, wanted no part of it because it resembled nothing of the original strains that nature intended to give us, such as, measles and chickenpox. So they had to use something that would make the body hold on to it. They used, on one attempt, obviously saline, but saline is very natural, and the body, it comes in and it comes out, and it goes, no, I'm not accepting it. So they quickly figured out the only way the body will have to take it on board and keep it, and then hopefully create antibodies, is, guys, it has to use a toxin. Either it be a heavy metal, guys, or a chemical toxin for then the body to take it on board, because it has to. So this is what they did, guys. From the time in the early 1900s up to today, every vaccine has a heavy metal or a chemical. I'll list a couple of them, guys, so at least you know what's in them. So let's go through. So there's one called 2-penoxyethanol. It's used as an antibiotic, and you go, well, that can't be too bad. But according to the material data sheet, it is toxic if you swallowed it. So we're talking about if you swallowed it, there'll be huge ramifications, but we're passing it in a needle straight into your system, guys. What are the side effects from just this one? It's known to cause reproductive abnormalities in children as they become teenagers and become young adults. The listed side effects, guys, are headaches, shock, convulsions, kidney damage, cardiac failure, and death. Okay, this is one of 19. The next one you've heard of, formaldehyde, known as formalin. It's used to preserve bodies awaiting burial. If a body's decaying, which is a natural part of life, and something just stops that decaying happening, you got to think to yourself, guys, how healthy can this be? It's used in vaccines to preserve the active ingredients that are combined with it, guys. The International Agency for Cancer classifies formaldehyde as a human toxin, and the National Toxinology classifies it also as a major toxin. So we've covered two things that have added to vaccines. And so far, it's not sounding too good, guys. What else is there? There is something else called, and it's a technical word, lactalbumin. It is a foreign protein that our digestive system is not designed to have and tries at all costs to keep out. This compound is very capable of inducing autoimmune dysregularity. Okay, we've named 3 out of 19, guys. Next one is monkey kidney tissue, guys. It is thought to be a source of the SV40 virus, which causes cancer. They have linked it to, these days, a lot of childhood cancers, guys, and leukemia. So I'm just going to spin this around so I can just go through a couple more, guys. And I'm just getting you to understand that every vaccine has several of these components at any one time. It's not like they used it back in the early days and went, well, that's quite bad, we better stop. It's the only way that any vaccine, including flu vaccines, that the body will take it on board. Otherwise, the body will reject it. A, because it passed the first part, and B, goes, I don't recognise you. You look nothing like what Mother Nature gave us. So what else is there? Technical word is the next one. It's parenteral, known as aluminium, guys. The recommended dose by the World Health Organization is 25 micrograms per day in the human body. So we don't want it at all, but they're saying safely we can handle 25 micrograms. What's in vaccines, guys? In the HIB, the HIP vaccine, there's 225 mcgs. In hepatitis B, there's 250 mcgs. In hepatitis A, there's 250 mcgs. HPV, 500 micrograms. The DTaP injection, there's 170 to 625. In Pentosil, 1,500 micrograms. And another one called pediatric, let me say it slowly, pediatric. It's 850 micrograms, guys. And as a child is going through all their shots from time they're born up to so forth, have these continually in different intervals. So we're talking about thousands of micrograms of aluminium and other things. And what it does to the central nervous system and the brain is astronomical. So, okay, we've got all these ingredients. None of them are good so far. We have another one. It's called polysorbate 80. It's a substance that helps suspend all toxins in vaccines to be better delivered and easier when injected. It helps cross the blood-brain barrier, which gives it greater access to the brain, but also helps all the other things such as aluminium and all the other ones to go into the system where it shouldn't have gone because it crosses the blood-brain barrier at 100% efficiency. So this is like a super carrier to amplify those effects, guys. Studies have shown increase of serious side effects, including blood clots, strokes, heart attacks, heart failure, deaths, and in increasing cancer tumour growths. Last one, guys, because there's too many to list, is thymol rossyl, known as mercury, guys. Okay, mandate by law is that we're only allowed 2 parts per billion in our drinking water. In all vaccines, guys, there's 2,000 parts per billion. In all flu shots, there's 50,000 per billion. If the recommended safe dose of drinking water is 2 parts per billion, and we have 50,000 in flu shots, and in all vaccine we have 2,000 per billion, we're talking about an overload, guys. The other ones, obviously, there is heaps more, but they're all at different stages, added and compiled upon each other. So then you're getting even more mercury, you're getting even more aluminium, you're getting things that cause cancer, dysregulation, autoimmune disease, breaking down of neural functions as emotions, as learning, as sleeping, as brain activity of learning simple things, speech. So, guys, you got to think of it. We've been seeing more than ever now, most children, and I can tell you because I have a partner who works in childcare, who's been in childcare for 30 years. And she said, as the decades have come, especially these last 10 decades, the children coming in on levels never seen all have issues, severe issues, autism, ADHD, learning disabilities, emotional disturbances, eating, they can't eat certain foods due to the chemicals that have come in and broken down the stomach. So I'll leave it in your court, guys. Does vaccines resemble anything that nature gave us? Has it got a long-term beneficial effect for us? No, it doesn't, guys, and I'll tell you why. And a second part, this is the second part of why. So they said at the beginning, like all of the vaccines, we have one shot. Your body will grow immunity like nature gave us in some way. Did it? No, it didn't. Why? Because the body doesn't recognize it. And even though it was forced to bring it on board due to heavy metal and toxins, for a period of time, that little part that they're trying to use to cause antibodies for long life protection, the body goes, I'm getting rid of you. You're nothing, I'm spitting you out, you don't resemble anything that's supposed to be with me, but leaves behind all the chemicals because they don't easily come out, guys. So then there's booster shots. And then in the booster shots, there's all those things we just talked about. Aluminium, mercury, bromolyl, you name it. So I'm just leaving you with this. We've covered now today, that was my aim. Vaccines. How do they work? Now you know how they work, guys. And we're seeing through the decades, and it makes sense that we're seeing more dysregularity than ever. Is it a coincidence, guys, that our children and our society is so dysfunctional, have so many issues? Autism is rising on levels never seen. ADHD. Also, children who are growing to become young adults are having issues being parents, having reproductive issues and so forth. So I'm leaving it there, guys. Please send this to anyone you love. It is a must. It has always been there, but through time, these articles and these movies and so forth, including a great documentary that's hard to find, but if you persist, you will find it online. It's called Vaxxed. So then there was Vaxxed, Vax 1, Vax 2. Vaxxed was this, spoken about by somebody who works in one of these places, who creates one of these vaccines. And they started realizing through their own intellectual studies and their knowledge, this causes autisms. This dear individual couldn't live with himself and started ringing up all the families he could associate that had the shots at their due time and their kids were autistic. He blamed himself, but he was just a part of the big wheel. But he was so moved, he started ringing up and saying, I'm so sorry for what I've done. So this is in the movie Vaxxed, guys. And it brings emotions to me because that dear individual started realizing, what have I done? I've worked for a company, one of many, and I know it causes autisms. It was recorded, and the conversation was recorded, and then they made the movie from it. So if you look through archives, this is one of also many proofs that vaccines aren't safe, guys. And in the next part, guys, which won't be today, we're going through autoimmunity, autoimmune diseases. What are they? Could there be a combination of different things, vaccines, also environmental toxins and food and so forth, and why are we seeing such a huge level on this? So I'm going to be bringing that out, but also, guys, I would really love you guys to send in comments, please. Say, hey, I would like to really know about this. My family member's been suffering for this for a long time, but I've heard nothing about it. Do you know something that might be able to bring it out still? Please bring it out, guys. But also, guys, I really need you guys, please, to, if you like the talk, and it is informative, please leave a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please become a subscriber. I do this even though I work, guys, but I can tell you now, and it's not because it's a bad thing, by the time I learn all these things and compile all these things through the years and then learn and how to bring it out to you in a way that you can understand, record it. And since my editing guy he didn't have time anymore and he had to leave, I had to learn everything from scratch. But then I have to do my own editing, my own publishing, and from the beginning to end, it's a long process, guys. I want to continue it because I'm a very great educator in all things health. I know how to bring it forward with explanation, with kindness, with ease, with love, sometimes humor. So I'd really like to progress in this and make this a full-time thing. So please, if you could do those things for me on every podcast, become a subscriber, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. That will help me to grow. And then I can do this with lots of different things, including smaller things that are not as complex as this, but obviously add to great health as a full-time thing. So thank you so much, guys. I send my love. Please send this to anyone you love because all people need to hear this and have the misinformation replaced with true information. Send my love to you guys.